2, check, 1, 2.
test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Yep. 1, 2. Test, test, test. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yep. 1, 2. Check, check, check. Yep.
Test the rolling rate. 1, 2, 1, 2, rolling rate. Check, check, check. Test 1, 2, rolling rate. Check. Two, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Two, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check, check, check. Hey, hand out, hand out, hand out. Test, test, test. 1, 2, 1, 2. 2, 1, 2. Test 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah.
Welcome everyone, and a happy new year. Welcome also to the best constituency in the whole of Scotland. And can I say that this isn't the largest turnout we've had for a day of activism, but it's getting there. So we do have the leaflet runs already over there. Collect, please. Colleagues, members, friends, welcome to the Oran Moor. It is an absolute delight, privilege and honour to, as I said, welcome you to Kelvin constituency. Especially today, I know many of you will have battled our lovely warm weather that we have, but we know that the SNP is not afraid of the Scottish elements. In fact, we run towards them, I think. I'm delighted to have the chance to open today's event, and before we hear from a few of my fellow candidates and colleagues, and of course from our First Minister and party leader, who I know is absolutely raring to go as we kick off the 2026 elections. I think it's important to take stock as we move ahead, because as we head into 2026 and into our election campaign, we do so from a very encouraging position. The polls are consistently showing the SNP ahead, and they also show strong support for independence. And the strength of the SNP team is unparalleled. That, friends, is the result of continuing to believe in what we stand for. It comes from a positive vision that we have set out for Scotland, and from the actions that we have taken to improve people's lives right across the country, whether that is the falling waiting times, the rising GP numbers, record achievements in literacy and numeracy, falling child poverty, and lower unemployment. These are real improvements that are felt by people every single day. But perhaps most importantly, this year is about hope. At a time when people are looking for leadership and direction, the SNP is offering hope. Hope for a better future. Hope for a fairer Scotland. Hope grounded in ambition and belief in our nation's potential. But, of course, we also have a leader that stands head and shoulders above the rest. John Swinney has the experience, the leadership and the credibility that the people of Scotland need. He is a leader who believes in Scotland, who backs our potential, and who offers hope through a fresh start that the independence can bring. So as we campaign over the next 4 months, yes, it's only 4 months, keep remembering that, because there is no doubt that others will try everything they can to distract us from that hope and from that vision and from that ambition. So, I'll bring my remarks to a close. Thank you all so much once again for being here. And now I am delighted to hand over to one of our brilliant new candidates, and that is Pauline Stafford. Pauline.
Thanks, CoCab. Good morning and Happy New Year to everyone. I'm really delighted to welcome you all here today before we hear from our First Minister and Party Leader, John Swinney. The First Minister has been saying over the weekend that this year is going to be a year full of opportunity for Scotland. So we're here today to kick off that new year together and to begin work on the next stage of our campaign, to make sure that we help Scotland seize the opportunity for a fresh start with independence. And over the next 4 months, we will go to the people of Scotland with a positive vision for the future and a track record that we can be proud of. That record is helping households with the cost of living by providing free prescriptions, free tuition fees and free bus travel for millions. That record has been the only part of the UK to have child poverty falling by introducing transformational policies like the Scottish Child Payment. And that record is restoring the winter fuel payment for pensioners in Scotland after one of the first actions of a UK Labour government was to cruelly rip it away. And that record is growing under John Swinney, because it's clear that self-government works for Scotland. So now our job is to make sure that we get more of that here. And that is how we give people hope across Scotland. We show that better decisions can be made when decisions are made in Scotland and for Scotland. And that's why independence is the only way for Scotland to chart a different and better path for each and every person that lives here. So we're going forward this year, under John Swinney's leadership, with a clear and hopeful vision for the future for everyone in Scotland, and a leader with determination, ideas and integrity that the people of Scotland really need right now. We've got a party and a government focused on people's priorities, easing the cost of living burden and standing up for our shared values. And we're going into the next 4 months with momentum and great energy behind us. So I'm very much looking forward to playing my part in helping Scotland realise its full potential. And I'm really pleased to welcome now Lloyd Melville, who is standing in Angus South. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Pauline. I'm proud to be speaking today as your candidate for Angus South as we head towards the Holyrood election. As has been touched on, we do open this year in fine fettle. Poll after poll shows people trust us to lead. Poll after poll shows that our party leader, John Swinney, is the most popular party leader on these islands. Now, that is a good start, but we know that we have much more to do. More work to win hearts and minds in our communities. More work to govern with purpose and to deliver for the people of Scotland. Now, in Angus, where I am a local councillor, I've seen what happens when SNP priorities are matched by action. Investment in local schools, support for more affordable homes. Our success is built on our principles of fairness, opportunity and security, and on turning these into action. Now, communities where I represent, communities are better off because the government has been on their side. The SNP is always on Scotland's side. Now, we have a track record to be proud of. More affordable homes, we're rolling out new walk-in GP centres. We're cutting the cost of living for thousands and thousands of families across Scotland, making sure that they can plan for the future with confidence. And under John Swinney's leadership, we have a clear and hopeful sense of direction. Families not just getting by, but getting ahead. Businesses able to invest, grow, and keep wealth rooted in our local communities. And ultimately, the point that matters most, what this election is really all about, that the future of Scotland must be decided by the people who live and work here. Westminster won't deliver a better future for Scotland. Only the people of our country can. That's the future we are all fighting for. That is the future that is on the ballot in 4 months' time. As your candidate for Angus South, Scotland's birthplace, I look forward to playing my part in delivering it with all of you. And I'll now hand over to Shirley-Ann Somerville. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and a very happy new year to you all. And I hope my fellow candidates, many of whom are in the room with us today, are well rested for the campaign to come. Colleagues, we've seen in 2025 that it's been a year of delivery. 2026 is now our year of opportunity, because the election itself is an opportunity for the people of Scotland. It's an opportunity to choose your government, to choose a First Minister and to choose a future for Scotland. And as people are looking forward to that election, I believe that they will see a government who have delivered for Scotland, with child poverty rates coming down, the only place in the UK where that is happening, They're seeing NHS waiting lists coming down, and they're seeing GP numbers rising. That's the delivery that the SNP, under John Swinney's leadership, has given the country. And they'll also see a First Minister who is trusted, who is seen as the only credible candidate to lead our nation, not just after the election, but on to independence. So, colleagues, it is my great honour to welcome the man who will take our party to victory in May and on to independence, our party leader, the First Minister of Scotland, John Swinney.
Good morning and a very happy new year to all of you. I hope that you all managed to get a good rest over the festive break because, friends, we've got a very busy year ahead of us all. I spent some much valued time with my family, which was an absolute joy over the festive period. And of course, lots of people in Scotland give up time with family over Christmas to help us all. We've had some pretty wild weather in parts of Scotland in the last few days, and I'm grateful to everyone involved in keeping the country moving and in keeping people safe in our communities. I also had the privilege last week of visiting the Accident and Emergency Department at Glasgow Royal Infirmary to see at first hand the pressures that staff face. It won't surprise you to hear that I was really inspired by what I saw. It was busy and staff were working incredibly hard, and they were ensuring that patients received excellent care. The public have clearly been following the advice on where to go for the best healthcare, so I want to thank everyone for playing their part. But let's take this opportunity today to thank all of those who gave up time over Christmas to help keep our vital public services running and to keep us safe and supported. Thank you to them all. Before I go any further today, I want to comment on global developments over the weekend. I am deeply concerned at the situation which has unfolded in Venezuela. There is no doubt that the Maduro regime was an illegitimate and authoritarian regime. However, I am clear that all nations must abide by the international rules-based system. Having listened carefully to what has been said by the United States administration in recent days, I cannot see how international law has been respected here. The international community must now ensure that de-escalation, diplomacy and democracy are the foundations of what follows the events of this weekend. Friends, we're here today to talk about the future for Scotland and the year ahead for Scotland. There's a lot we don't know about, but one thing is already clear. 2026 is shaping up to be a very exciting year for Scotland. This summer, the Commonwealth Games returns to this great city of Glasgow. We'll get the opportunity to cheer on some of Scotland's finest athletes as they compete under the saltire right on our doorstep. And it's a year when Scotland returns to the FIFA Men's World Cup. The whole nation will come to a standstill in June, even more so in July, once we've seen off Brazil and progressed to the knockout stages. This is a moment 28 years in the waiting, and I want as many people as possible to share the occasion. So, friends, I can confirm today that I've written to the Privy Council proposing that the Monday, the day after our opening game, be designated a bank holiday in Scotland. That will mean that supporters across the country can watch our men's team in their first World Cup match for almost 30 years and share in the chance for Scotland to be on the world stage, to attract business development, to create tourism and hospitality interest within the country, and to make deep and lasting cultural and sporting connections. Let's make 2026 a year where Scotland's sporting success brings our whole country together. As we prepare to cheer on Scotland's sportsmen and women this summer, let us also be inspired by them, inspired by what they've achieved by giving their very best, by working as a team, by persevering, and above all, by showing belief in what they were capable of. That's a lesson there for all of us. I want 2026 to be a year not just of sporting success. I want it to be a year of opportunity for everyone in Scotland. We've gone through a few tough years as a country, but despite those tough days, there is a lot to celebrate in Scotland. I know that we have it within ourselves to overcome the challenges that we face. This party, the National Party of Scotland, offers our country the leadership to make us the very best that we can be as a country. And this year, we're going to inspire Scotland like never before. We are going to offer Scotland hope for a better future. That starts by reminding ourselves of the progress that we are making as a country. Look at our health service. There was such an inevitable huge backlog after COVID, but we start this year with waiting times and waiting lists falling all over Scotland. GP numbers are up, and last year, a record number of hip and knee operations were performed in Scotland. A lot more still to do, but be in no doubt, the health service in Scotland has turned a corner, and today we say thank you to Scotland's magnificent NHS staff who've made that progress possible. Now look at our schools. Last year, young people achieved truly outstanding exam results. Literacy and numeracy in schools are both at record levels. Attendance is rising and teacher numbers are up. A lot more to do, but Scotland's young people really are a credit to all of us. So let us today congratulate our young people on all that they are achieving in Scotland today. And now look at Scotland's economy. Think of all the headwinds businesses in Scotland have faced in recent years. But business investment in Scotland has reached a 20-year high. A 20-year high. And if that's not enough to celebrate, here's what two of the world's leading credit ratings agencies recently found when they looked at Scotland. They awarded us the same investment rating as the United Kingdom, higher than some big industrial nations like Japan. They praised the strength and diversity of Scotland's economy and its strong institutional framework, and they cited the Scottish Government's prudent financial management. As our national bard once said, maybe it's time for us to see ourselves as others see us. A lot more to do, but when it comes to the economy, let us today send a very clear message. Under the SNP, Scotland is and always will be open for business. Now, friends, there's more I can say about our record in government. Child poverty in Scotland is falling. The poverty-related attainment gap in schools is at a record low. Unemployment is significantly lower than the UK average. Our renewables industry continues to grow and grow, powering our green economic future. Scotland is by no means a perfect country, but my goodness, given everything thrown at us in recent years, Scotland has strong foundations for the future under SNP leadership. Increasingly, the public see that progress. Here's what an opinion poll said just before Christmas. The poll asked people in Scotland which party they trusted most on a range of issues. Now listen to how the SNP's lead has increased compared to the previous poll in June of last year. When it comes to which party is most trusted to run Scotland's NHS, the SNP went from being 6 points ahead to 15 points ahead. When it comes to managing schools and education, the SNP lead has doubled. When it comes to managing the economy, the SNP lead has more than doubled. And when it comes to standing up for Scotland, the SNP are now 31 points ahead of our nearest rivals. That is testament to the SNP's record in government. That is testament to the trusted leadership we offer Scotland. The SNP are getting on with making Scotland a better country, and we're crucially taking the people of Scotland with us on that journey. Friends, 2026 must be a year where we keep up the momentum and build on this progress, and that's what this SNP government will be doing. Over the next few months, we'll be rolling out a network of walk-in GP clinics across Scotland to make it easier for people to access healthcare. In the coming days, we'll set out the next steps to help more families get into affordable housing. And in our budget next week, there'll be a major focus on helping households with the cost of living. We also have an election on the 7th of May. That election is not just about the next 5 years. It is about taking the next steps for the best possible future. The chance to empower ourselves to fundamentally address the biggest long-term issues facing us. We've all been on the doorsteps a lot in recent months. Voters everywhere are telling us the same thing. The UK economy is broken. Living standards are flat as a pancake. Far too many people are living in poverty. Far too many people are struggling to make ends meet. Energy costs in energy-rich Scotland are scandalously high. These are the fundamental issues holding Scotland back. Now, anyone telling voters that all of this can be addressed within the current powers of the Scottish Parliament is not being straight with the public. And the truth is that with each passing day, Westminster becomes ever more distant from offering solutions to Scotland's challenges. The UK is lurching further and further to the right. Bad decisions like Brexit and the spending cuts from austerity are leaving us all worse off. And the language in the UK around immigration and asylum has become nothing short of disgraceful. That is why the vote on May the 7th is so important. In this election, there are those who will seek to obtain power by spreading fear and insecurity. There are those who will seek to divide us. And there are those who don't care about Scotland and instead seek to use the election to further their own interests, not the SNP. In this election, we will offer a vision for a very different future for Scotland. The Scotland we believe in is a modern, progressive, socially democratic Scotland at the heart of Europe, a country built on the values that we share. Instead of suffering under a broken Westminster economic model, we offer an economy built around Scotland's immense economic strengths, one based on the well-being of our people and our planet. Instead of demonising those who choose to make our country their home, welcoming those who enrich our economy, our public services and our society. Instead of enduring the isolation and the economic damage of Brexit, rejoining the European Union and returning to the world's largest single market. Instead of wasting hundreds of billions of pounds of nuclear weapons, investing that huge resource in Scotland's future. And friends, instead of watching as Scotland's energy wealth flows to Treasury coffers year after year after year, putting that immense wealth into the hands of the people in every corner of Scotland, bringing down energy bills for everyone and powering Scotland's future economic success. That's what the powers of independence offer Scotland, and that's why the SNP is offering the chance to vote for independence on the 7th of May. Friends, when we're telling people of the opportunities of independence, we will remind them of this. None of this is untested. For countries all around Scotland, it's all perfectly normal. Countries with far fewer natural advantages than us, but enjoying far higher living standards. Let's at least match their success. The best thing we can do for Scotland's health service, the biggest step we can take to bring down energy bills across the board, and the best way to make daily life more affordable for people is for Scotland to become an independent country. Friends, there is hope for a better future for Scotland, but we have to go out and vote for it. And that time is now. To become independent, we need a referendum that will be recognised by the international community. In 2011, Scotland secured a referendum when the SNP won a majority. It worked in 2011 and it will work in 2026. So on May the 7th, the SNP's aim is not just to win. Our aim is to win the overall majority that secures Scotland the right to choose our own future. That is our task. It is an ambitious task, but friends, ambition is what this party is about. So let's get out there and make it happen. Let 2026 be a year when we rightly celebrate all that we are, but also imagine what we could be. Where others sow fear and division across Scotland, let us plant the seeds of hope and ambition. When others try and tell people in Scotland that they can't, let us demonstrate that we can. Let us build a national movement for hope, one that reaches every community in the land. Let us build a country all of us can be proud of, a country all of us can call home, and a future in which all of us have a stake, a future that is made in Scotland. On the 7th of May, let's offer Scotland trusted leadership, a renewed focus on the priorities of the people, and a fresh start with independence. Thank you very much. Thank you all very much. We're now going to take some questions from broadcasters, and then I'll speak to the print journalists later on. So I'll come first of all to David Wallace-Locker of BBC Scotland. David.
Thank you very much, First Minister. One of your key election pledges seems to be something that is categorically not within your gift to offer. You said there was a referendum in 2011 off the back of an SNP majority, and therefore it will work in 2026. That's a decision for the UK government to make, who've categorically ruled that out. So to be cynical for a moment here, is it not the case that because you think it will help your election prospects, you're marching independent supporters to the top of the hill, and like SNP leaders before you, you'll have to march them back down at some point?
Well, I'm encouraging you today, David, not to enter 2026 with cynicism, but to enter it with hope. Now, and I think the important point here is that I think what people are crying out for in our politics is for politicians to set out what they believe in and what they aspire for and what they want to achieve. And for me, I entered politics to make sure Scotland became an independent country. So I'm going to put that to the people with the opportunity I have as First Minister and as leader of the SNP in the 2026 election. And it comes down to a fundamentally basic democratic point that the United Kingdom has always accepted, and which it accepted in 2011 and 2014, which is that the people of Scotland have the right to decide their own constitutional future. And that is a fundamental democratic principle that has to lie at the heart of our politics in Scotland today. So for that reason, and based on the precedent that was established in 2011, I've set out the strategy that we will pursue to make sure that Scotland is able to decide her own future for all the reasons I set out and the advantages I set out to make sure that we can use the resources, the energy wealth of our country for the benefit of the people of our country, to make sure that we can rival the economic prosperity and opportunity of countries like Scotland, which is not available to us in a United Kingdom where standards of living are flat as a pancake. And that's the choice that people will get in the election in May. Can I come to Ewan Petrie of STV? Ewan.
Thank you, First Minister. Staying on independence, you are very clear on what you want to happen if you win a majority in May. Perhaps less clear on what happens if you fall short of that target. So can you be explicit this morning that if you fail to win a majority in May, that rules out the second referendum for the next 5 years? And will independence be page 1, line 1 of the manifesto as it was in the general election?
I don't think I could be any clearer that the opportunity of independence is going to be utterly central to the SNP's election campaign. Utterly central. It will be at the core of our argument, and I set that out in the course of the last few months in the discussions that took place at our party conference, and I reiterate it today at this moment where we are 122 days from polling day on May the 7th, and that's what will be at the heart of our campaign. So in whatever layout the manifesto takes, let me be crystal clear, that will be the cornerstone of the SNP's election campaign. And allow me, Ewan, to concentrate on the winning of the election, of making sure that I appeal to people in Scotland with a message which is that if we want to take forward the opportunities of independence, we have to be prepared to deliver the emphatic vote that will bring that about. And that's what comes from electing a majority of SNP MSPs at the Scottish Parliament elections on the 7th of May, and that will be the proposition that I put to the public in that election. Can I come to Kezia Buckley now of Sky? No. Okay. Davy Shanks, Channel 5? No. Craig Payton? Yep, on you go.
Thanks, First Minister. If I could just sort of continue the vein of cynicism that you seem to be proffering this morning. I think you've said from your responses there that you think that the people of Scotland should know what they're voting for in May. But your argument seems to be, vote for me and we'll get a referendum, I'm just not going to tell you how. So can you just tell us what is the process? Because I understand you want to get past the process now, but the people of Scotland still need to know what the process for getting that referendum can be.
And I'm setting out very clearly, a precedent was established in 2011, which was when the SNP won a majority of seats in the Scottish Parliament, a referendum followed. And I'm putting that very simple proposition to the public now and saying, if you want to make this happen, if you want to make sure our country's future is in our own hands, vote for the SNP, give us a majority in the Scottish Parliament, and what flows from that is the right to decide our own future. I couldn't be clearer than that about the route that we have to take as a country. Alan Zzinski from Global. Alan?
Thanks, First Minister. Again, though, if you get an overall majority and the UK government still says, no, we're not giving you a referendum, can you rule out there being an extensive court battle after that happens?
What I would say, Alan, is that the UK government I know I'm answering questions here, and I'm here to answer questions. That's what I'm here to do today. But the UK government's got some pretty big questions to answer as well about standing in the way of the democratic wishes of the people of Scotland. Now, that's got to be part of the debate and the discussion that we go through. But fundamentally, my appeal to the people of Scotland is quite simply this. If people are frustrated by the fact that standards of living in Scotland have been flat as a pancake for 15 years within the United Kingdom, what is the likelihood that that is going to change with continued United Kingdom government in Scotland? Because we were told to all wait for the Labour government that would come in and make things better, and we can now see what it's like. So my point to people in Scotland is this. If people want to use the resources and the opportunities of our country to advance the interests of the people of our country, we have to take that issue into our own hands through the democratic process of independence and giving us the ability to determine our own future. And that's the prospect I offer to the people of Scotland, and that's why I invite the people of Scotland to give us emphatic support so that we can bring that about in the election on the 7th of May. Can I come to Catherine Nutt of Broadcasting Scotland? Catherine.
So with cases of low voter turnout quite likely, how are the SNP going to realistically convince people to come out and vote?
We've got to motivate and mobilise people to come out and vote. It's going to be a combination of doorstep activity, of which my party is doing a significantly greater amount in the run-up to this election than it did in the run-up to the general election in 2024, and I'm very pleased with how much is going on around the country, but don't take that as any invitation to let up the pressure. We've got to maintain that very significant amount of activity, of engaging with the public, listening to the public, addressing the concerns of the public, setting out our ideas to the public, and also by the phenomenal digital reach of the SNP campaigning, which has been built up over many years and which is going to be intensified the closer we get to May the 7th. And fundamentally, those are the techniques that we will use to get us into a position of motivating and mobilising people to vote in the election. But there's also the ideas and the aspirations of the election campaign which lie at the heart of the election. And we, of course, offer people in Scotland hope because we offer them the prospect of a better future through independence. And that will be at the heart of the SNP's election campaign in May. The final question I'll take is from Tony Maguire of GB News. Tony.
Happy New Year, First Minister.
Happy New Year to you.
I'm curious, I couldn't really believe that it's almost 6 years since the first lockdown in COVID. Most of that 6 years has been dominated by a cost of living crisis. So I just wondered what your pitch to the people of Scotland was that at this term, these next 5 years, we will finally make inroads to make the cost of living better for people in Scotland.
Well, the challenges of the cost of living are issues that we address insofar as we can within the Scottish Government. So there's a number of different steps that we've taken, whether that's been about trying to lowering the cost of living through the abolition of prescription charges or the provision of free bus travel to over 2 million people within Scotland, including under 22s in Scotland, which is an incredibly popular scheme, or the steps that we're taking around about the provision of early learning childcare, or around about the abolition of tuition fees for universities. And of course, in recent months, we took a further step with the abolition of peak rail fares. So for anyone travelling from this city to Edinburgh on a daily basis, their travel costs at peak times were halved as a consequence of the actions of the SNP government. So we will take steps insofar as we can to reduce the cost of living, and we'll reflect on that and set out our proposals in the budget next week. But the underlying challenge for people in Scotland today is that standards of living have not increased since the financial crash in 2008. So the UK has gone through this period of stagnant activity, stagnant position on incomes. And what I'm saying is that when you look at other countries, that's not the case. And if Scotland had the prospect of independence, we would be able to use the wealth of Scotland to create a higher standard of living for the people of our country. It's not something that's untested. It has been delivered in other countries, and we should emulate that success and take it forward. So the Scottish Government will do all that we can within our devolved responsibilities, and we'll set out proposals in the budget next week. But I have to be straight with the public that we cannot overcome the weaknesses of the United Kingdom, the inequality of the United Kingdom, the fact that the United Kingdom economy is broken. We cannot overcome that within the United Kingdom. We need the fresh start of independence to enable us to do that. So, thank you. Thank you all for attending today. It's a pleasure to see you all. As I say, I'll speak to print journalists shortly, but to all of you who've gathered here today, thank you for attending. Thank you for what you've done so far for the SNP election campaign. I invite you to give ever more. There's loads of our candidates here, so I invite you to give ever more of your time and your energy to make sure we're successful on May the 7th and we deliver the fresh start of independence. Thank you very much.